Hi, it's Judy. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in my dining room today and I have a kind of a temporary craft set up here at the moment that's all working. A little while ago you may have seen a lovely product from Tonic that came out from the Holtz signature line, and it's a very nice black glass cutting mat, and I have it here on my table. If I'm looking over to the side here, that's because I have my computer so that I can see what you're seeing, what I'm actually videoing. And when I first saw this glass cutting mat, I have a glass cutting mat. It's the EK Success glass cutting mat, and it's a 13 by 13 inch glass mat. And it was really nice, and I really loved it, and I got on really well with it. But it was only 13 inches, and some of the stuff that I'm doing these days requires me to be using more than a 13-inch space of working space. And there were other features that I liked about the glass cutting mat, and when I first had a look at it, I really quite liked the idea of it, but it seemed like an awful lot of money. And I will put a price, the recommended retail price for the Holtz mat, and I thought, you know, really nice mat, but that's quite a lot of money. So anyway, I really liked it an awful lot, and I managed to convince my lovely other half to buy me one for Christmas. So here it is. I have the glass cutting mat, and you can see that it is quite huge. I've got this huge space here. Now this space measures across 14 inches, which is just over 35 centimeters, and then it measures up, what's that? They've got it so that it's in two 6-inch lots. So here is the 0 mark across the middle here, and then we've got 6 inches on this side and 6 inches on this side. So 12 inches in total, which gives us a working space of around about 30 centimeters. If you really want to get technical, it's 304.2 millimeters, that side, and that's a really nice big space to work on. And then you have this section over on the side here, and this is a nice white space for you to use as kind of like a palette. So you have all of these inch spots that are marked out, and they're bigger than an inch. They're basically sized to fit the small ink pads, the little inch-sized ink pads, which I have none of because I have a whole bunch of the original distress inks, and I see no point in buying the little small ones just for the sake of buying the little small ones. But the idea behind this is that you can kind of smush your inks and paints and stuff into these sections and use them as a palette. And then you've got this section here for mixing in, and because it's glass, it all just wipes down very easily. And then it comes with this silicone mat, which fits over the top. And then this is for putting down all of the stuff, the mucky stuff that you want to have wash off rather easily. This is all a non-stick mat. It's a different type of mat. This is a non-stick craft sheet from, well, this one's not from Ranger, but it is a non-stick craft sheet. So it's a different material. You can see that it's quite a different, this stuff is thicker. The brown stuff is double-sided, so you can just flip it over and use the other side. This isn't. This has a different texture on one side. It's more of a slick surface on this side and a slightly rougher surface on this side. But again, nothing sticks to this. It will all scrape off. The only advice is don't use your alcohol inks on it because it will stain the mat. So I looked at this and I thought it's very nice. And one of the lovely things about living in the UK is that we use inches and centimetres kind of interchangeably. Our road distances are measured in miles. Our speed is measured in miles per hour. But when you go to the shop to buy your fruit and vegetables, they're measured in kilos, not ounces. So we have this kind of almost schizophrenic approach to measurements, and some of the stuff that we get comes in for crafting, a lot of it comes in inches because it's either come from the United States or it's been influenced by the United States. So we have this moment where things come in inches, but then we also buy things. We have our cardstock, A4 cardstock is a particularly unique style of card sizing. A4 is our standard to write a letter on, but A5 would be your standard for a leaflet for your local, I don't know, scout group or whatever to print their flyers on. Leaflets that you pick up in your local GP surgery will be a sheet of A4 that's been folded into thirds. Cards are generally an A5 sheet of card folded in half, which gives you an A6 card. It's all a bit strange. And so it can make some of the measurements a little bit complicated. And if you are working on a mat that is marked in inches and you're trying to work in European card sizes, it can get a little bit confusing. Once you understand how the A paper size system works, and then therefore the corresponding envelopes, which are designated as C and D, it all starts to make sense and you understand why they've done it that way. But it is what it is. So I saw this mat and I thought it was really wonderful. And then I started seeing places advertising the Tonic A3 glass cutting mat. And I thought, okay, so what's the difference? The Tim Holtz glass cutting mat is from Tonic and it looks as though it's very similar. So I had a look at the price and it was less than half price. So there's this moment where you kind of go, what are the differences between the two mats? So having had convinced my lovely other half to buy me the Tim Holtz one for Christmas, I went out and I bought myself the white one. So I have here the boxes that they came in. So this one is the Tim Holtz one. And there's a couple of things. It says, warning, use of alcohol inks on non-stick mat will cause staining. That's this one. It says it's an extra large 14 inches by 23 inch glass mat with a 12 inch by 14 inch measuring grid area, imperial and metric measurements. And that's true. We have the grid is in inches. And then down around the edges here, you can see there's a centimetre line. But those centimetre lines don't match up with the grid lines. Caution, this product is made from tempered glass and is to be used for a cutting surface only. Do not drop or hammer directly onto the glass surface. That seems like a fairly sensible thing to mention. And then it says it has a 7.5 by 11 inch replacement non-stick mat. That's this thing here. And these can be, you can buy replacements of these. And when I looked, I found them for around about £6.50, £7, depending on where you buy them from. On the front, we have most of that information that is back on the, that is on the back. And that's what it looks like. And this one came, the white one came with these orange corner protectors on them. The Tim Holtz one came with grey orange protectors on them. I kept the orange ones just to show you what they looked like. See, and they just slot on the corner here. So if you're trying to transport it, this might be a useful thing to have. But generally, most people are going to probably throw those away when they're done with them. And then this is the box that came with the white mat. So it says fine grid for accurate scrapbooking and crafting. Handy angle guide in 15-degree increments. Well, we'll get on to see, have a look at that. What sort of things does it have on the back? 42 centimetre by 34 centimetre massive measuring grid. Markings for A5, A6, 13 by 13 centimetre, 15 by 15 centimetre, etc., etc. we can go into those sorts of things. 13-inch ruler with 1/8 markings. Okay, so what are the differences? In terms of size, absolutely nothing. They are exactly the same size. So let's just see. You can see they're exactly the same width. And they're exactly the same height. If you turn them over, they have this white coating on the back here, and then they have these feet, and both of them have 8 feet on them. And I have to say, you know, this black one has been moved around the house quite a lot, and these feet are very well attached. They're not going anywhere. So I'm quite pleased with that. So on the black one, we have 0 to 14 inches marked here, or 0 to 35, nearly 36 centimeters marked here. And then on this one, we have 0 to 12 marked along this length in inches, and then we have 0 to 30.5 centimeters marked along this width here. Along this side, we've got 0 to 6 marked here and 0 to 6 marked there in inches, and then 0 to 15 and a bit and 0 to 15 and a bit marked along this one. And then across the top, they've done the same thing. So we've got 0 down the center here, and it's marked out to 7 inches on the side, or what's that? 17, nearly 18 centimeters. We've got this bit down here where it says Tonic and Tim Holtz, and there's not a huge amount of information in there. Oh, bit of rubbish on the edge of it. And then, as I said, we've got the palette underneath. So let's just move this out of the way, and we can have a closer look at the white one. This is the white one. And this one has very helpfully 0 to 42 centimeters marked here. So we've got a wider central cutting area here. And then here it's marked 0 to 34 centimeters. It's kind of useful. But then they've done the same thing on this mat as they did on the black mat. So we have the 0 point marked here and the 0 point marked here. And that then gives us 0 to 17 centimeters on these two lengths, so we can find the center. And then on this side, we've got 0 to 21 centimeters going either side. Now, this I'm finding very interesting, because 21 centimeters is exactly the width of an A4 sheet of paper. So that means that I can work on an A4 sheet of paper without any problems. In fact, I will do a little bit of an edit here and get a piece of A4 paper. And we're back, and I have an A4 sheet of paper on my mat. So you can see that that very helpfully gives me an area to work with. The lovely thing about the A sizing of paper is that it is all based on the proportions of the golden rectangle. So it means that mathematically you can continue to subdivide and subdivide and subdivide into infinity. So what do I mean by that? Well, here we have an A4 sheet of paper. If I fold that A4 sheet of paper in half, that now gives me the exact dimensions of an A5 sheet of paper. If I then fold that sheet of paper in half, that then gives me the perfect proportions for an A6 piece of paper, and so on and so forth. So A7, A8 is your traditional business card. I haven't seen A9 anywhere used anywhere. But certainly, you know, A4 isn't where it stops. It goes up to A0. So an A3 sheet of paper is going to be 2 pieces of A4 paper put together. An A3 sheet of paper is going to be, an A2 sheet of paper is going to be 2 sheets of A3 put together. And an A1 is going to be 2 sheets of A2 put together. And an A0 is going to be the size of two A1 sheets of paper put together. So it kind of makes sense. So then also on this, as it said on the front of the box, we have the angles marked in 15-degree increments so that we can do some interesting folding. And then here in the middle, we've got various different card sizes, and these would probably be the most common card sizes. If you're doing card making, these are your most usual sizes. So we've got A5 here, we've got A6 here, then we've got a square 15 by 15 centimetre and a 13 by 13 centimetre square. So we then have 0 to 13.5 inches marked down this side here. And then we've got a 0 to nearly 8 inches marked here with a smaller grid. And then we have these interesting matting and layering guides, and it has them all marked down. So if you are wanting to make mats and layers, it then gives you all of the dimensions for all of those for an A6 card, which is the most common used size card. It then also gives you the same thing for matting and layering with squares. It has the same feel as the Tim Holtz one. Same round edges, same feet, same white on the back. It's white on the front. Now, Tim says that he finds that working on the black mat is easier on his eyes when he's filming, which he does an awful lot of filming, so I can understand that. So I don't know whether that would make a huge difference to me, because when I'm looking at a craft mat, I'm looking at it for how I can use it and how I can be crafting with it. So what is the advantage? Oh, one other thing that I forgot. This white mat that comes with the black one works just as well on the white mat as it does on the black mat. So interchangeable. So given that this mat retails for around about £30 or a little bit more than that, and this one I think was around about £13, and I will make sure that I give you the prices. If I then go out and buy this mat, this non-stick mat, to go onto the white mat, I'm still paying around about £20 as opposed to £30 for what is ostensibly the same mat in terms of surface and usability and all of that sort of stuff. So is it worth it? Well, I do a variety of crafts, and I think I've had these two mats from about the same time. I'm not doing a huge amount of card making at the moment. So at the moment, I would say I'm not using the white mat a huge amount because I'm not working with card sizes much at the moment. However, I'm doing an awful lot of digital cutting on my Brother Scan Cut. And I started out, the Brother Scan and Cut software allows you to measure everything in centimetres, which is really great. My vinyl arrives in either 30 centimetre or 50 centimetre widths, so that's fine. But the mats that come with the Brother Scan and Cut are all in inches, and there are no centimetre increments on it anywhere. So I'm finding that it's just easier for me to work in inches when I'm in the design software or whatever. It's just easier for me to work in inches. So if I'm working with my digital vinyl cutter, I have to say I do have a tendency to go for the Tim Holtz Tonic Mat because it's marked in inches and in increments of inches. So I can easily do 6.5 or 4 1/4, very straightforwardly. But I will go through a phase, and I will at some stage be doing more card making and non-digital stuff, non-digital cutting stuff. And I have to say, this white mat will be much more useful for me then, because it will allow me to work out my European, my metric cutting much easier. I can go down to centimetres, and in fact on this grid here, this corner of the grid here, you can see this looks a little grayer. That's because it's a much, much tighter grid. So it allows me to go down to the millimetre. I can go to the 1/2 centimetre on this side. And then because it has it set up for it, if I need to translate across and do something in inches very briefly, I've got this little ruler here and this long ruler that will take me out. And the long ruler is marked out in increments of inches as well. So if I want to, I can do 2.5 inches if I want to. I can measure that out here. In conclusion, what do I think of these mats? I love the mats. I love the fact that they're round corners, they're beveled, they're good quality mats, both of them. Let's bring the black one back up. Because they're both tonic, they are ostensibly the same mat, and they do the job well. I have gone out and bought the toolkit that goes with the tonic mat. So here we have a straight edge and a scraper, and this is proving very useful for my digital cutter, because the Brother Scan and Cut doesn't come with any form of squeegee or braille or anything, and this has worked out to be incredibly useful for that. It's got this nice rubber edge if I want to get into stuff, but it's also then got a nice flat straight edge for me to use. The ruler I'm getting to grips with it. I'm right-handed, so the ruler clips over the edge of the mat there and holds still and gives me the nice straight edge to work on. But this is a plastic edged ruler. Don't know if you can see, but if you have a look at the edge of that, you can see along there is a metal strip embedded into the plastic. And that's useful so that you can take your cutting knife and run it along the edge there without cutting into the plastic. The problem is that because I'm right-handed, I have a tendency to want to work with the ruler tucked over the mat like that, which means I want to cut down this edge, and this is the edge that doesn't have the metal on it. So then what I have to do is I have to turn it around this way, and I have to cut down that way. And I just have to remember to do that. It doesn't work the other way up. The little bit that says Tim Holtz on it doesn't keep it tucked over the edge, but the other side does stop it from moving. You can also use it from the end of the mat as well, depending on what you're wanting to do. If you are predominantly a card maker living in Europe and you are working almost constantly in A sizes of paper or centimetres, then I would say, regardless of whether you're working with inks and paints and stuff, save your money, buy the white mat, go out and buy one of these replacement mats for between £6.50 and £7, and then lash out and get yourself the toolkit to go with it. And again, I will put the price for the toolkit somewhere around my head so that you've got an idea. If you're a digital vinyl person, a digital cutting type person, or somebody who is working primarily in inches, then I think you would probably find the white mat frustrating to work with, because it doesn't have the inch lines running across the grid. In the same way that I find this frustrating, the black mat, frustrating for doing cuts that I need to do in metric, I think I would find the white mat frustrating if all I was predominantly doing was working in imperial. Non-metric. But apart from that, they are the same product. You get the mat, you get the non-stick mat with the glass mat, and you then buy the toolkit separately. So if I remember correctly, the glass mat with the glass mat as it came out of the box, and the toolkit together were probably around about 55, heading on for £60. Whereas the glass cutting mat, buy this mat, buy the toolkit, and we're talking £35. So it's actually quite a significant saving. But apart from that, they're the same mat. Anyway, I hope you found this review useful and enjoyable. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, because that really helps me out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with all of your crafty friends. If you have any questions about anything that I've covered, then please leave me a comment below, and I read every single comment and try to reply to them. All of the opinions that I've expressed are entirely my own. The items that I've reviewed were either bought with my own money or my dear darling husband bought them for me. Nothing was given to me, and so I don't know if I have anything else to add to it. I just hope that you've really enjoyed this, and I look forward to talking to you again, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks very much for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.